Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I'm here to talk about Robbie Lawler versus Niko Price. Robbie Lawler is the living legend, 41 years old, 29 and 16 as a pro, and he's giving up 1 inch of height and 2 inches of reach to 33-year-old Niko Price, who's 15 and 6 as a pro. Niko is one of the more funky, dangerous strikers. He's got good power, really nice long frame, and just a violent son of a bitch from any position. I'll say this in every Niko Price fight, but you could have him down on his back in the full back mount, pounding the shit out of him, and there's still a good chance he knocks you out with some sort of weird uppercut or something. We've seen him get those funky knockouts over Randy Brown and James Vick, up kick, and against Brown, he hammer fisted him from his back. He's just a violent son of a bitch with a good knockout body. He's like a fucking welterweight Pereira or something. But he's still vulnerable himself. 6 losses. He's got 4 of them by knockout, 1 by submission, and 1 by decision. All in the UFC. Michel Pereira beat him by decision. Fight in which he was dominated early, largely trying to figure out Pereira. But in the end, I think he would have won. He was starting to take over in round 3. Vicente Luque choked him out. Cobb then subbed him with his signature Anaconda choke there. Oh no, was that a dart? That was an Anaconda choke. Then he lost by knockout to Philip Rowe, Vicente Luque, Jeff Neal, and Abdul Razak Al Hassan. 4 very dangerous strikers. I know Phil Rowe wasn't exactly inspiring guys with this fight against Neil Magny, but Phil Rowe was still a dangerous striker. And yeah, those are the guys that have been able to take Niko out. Rowe got him out of there in round 3. Luque got him out of there in round 3, but that wasn't a real knockout. That was an injury. The submission loss was more of a knockout. And Jeff Neal got him out of there in round 2. Abdul Razak Al Hassan, of course, got him out of there in round 1. He's definitely looked vulnerable along the way, but still maintains his danger. Really dangerous guy, one of the more dangerous guys in the division, and again, a very funky striker. Niko's got that long reach. Here he's going to have 2 inches, and just an overall bigger frame. And I think, against Robbie Lawler, 41 years old, Niko's the more dangerous guy. Lawler, he's 41 years old. I'm not going to get into every one of his losses and wins and whatever. Just know that I was there when he lost to Evan Tanner at UFC 50. So I've seen every fight of this guy's career. Probably every fucking fight. And one of the first fights I remember getting into when I was first getting into MMA was Aaron Riley versus Robbie Lawler. That was on ESPN, believe it or not. And the best damn sports show, whatever the fuck. And Robbie Lawler, he was the most exciting prospect in the sport. This 20-year-old kid who can throw down, has insane power, crushing knockouts, and really, really tough guy to dominate on the ground. He's been submitted 5 times throughout his career, but only to really good fighters. Evan Tanner, triangle choked him at UFC 50. Jason Mayhem Miller in his prime. Jake Shields with a guillotine and Strikeforce. Ben Askren with a bulldog choke that may not have been a legit finish, and Jacare Souza got him out of there in Strikeforce as well. So Lawler's he's just a really seasoned, well-conditioned fighter who, in his prime, was good enough to make it to the championship and defended it a few times. Had an incredible streak against Rory McDonald, Carlos Condit, Johnny Hendricks, and he looked like a monster there, winning the 5th round in every one of those fights. But here he's fallen off, and what better proof of that than his loss to Brian Barberena, which was his last fight almost a year ago, or actually, I think it was like 367 days ago or something. But Barberena TKO'd him in round 2. Lawler looked good until he didn't, and then just the wheels were coming off. That was an eye-opening loss because even though he's been TKO'd 4 times altogether throughout his career, that one looks different than the rest. Woodley knocked him out. Nick Diaz knocked him out. That was more of a war. And Pete Spratt chopped his legs off at UFC 42. But the Brian Barberena fight was the one where you look at it and say, all right, he's turned a corner, Still, in his recent wins, really only one of them, and it's over Nick Diaz, who came back after a 20-year layoff. And then kind of checked out in the middle of the fight. Lawler, he's definitely on his way out, so to speak. And this is his retirement fight. So, yeah, of course he's on his way out. As for him winning against Niko, his chin's got to hold up, and he's got to make it a brawl. Robbie Lawler's got that thing where if he, if he shows no fear, he can put the fear into you very quickly. I'll never forget him marching down Johnny Hendricks in round 5 of their rematch. Marching him down. And then against Carlos Condit in round 5, just going, I'm going to empty the tank. Go watch round 5 of Condit versus Lawler if you want to see what that guy can do after fighting for 20 minutes. Or what he could have done anyway. But here, I don't think he's going to be able to tame Niko Price and overwhelm him. I think Niko's going to tag him and he's going to get him out of there in one way or another. I think Niko could beat him, put on a more sustained beating, and get him out of there like Barberina. But I also think Niko's got that next level of power where it could just be a power or chin issue. But either way, I'm going with Niko Price. Niko should win this fight, and it should be by knockout. I'm picking him to win. His money line is minus 265. I like that, to be honest. I've played that a little bit, but really his finish line is much juicier, minus 105. I'm very sure if Niko Price wins, he wins by finish, and that's how I see the fight going. Like, share, subscribe, all that horseshit. Check out my other videos.